Hi, I'm Mrs. Tewitt, and I'll be your child's honors geometry teacher this year. So in this video, I want to introduce myself just a little bit and then give you some information about the course. Let me start with just a little bit about myself. This will be my 32nd year teaching middle schoolers in Northville, and in that time, I have taught the on-level 8th grade math class, or Math 8, as well as 3 high school credit courses, Algebra 1, Honors Geometry, and Honors Algebra 2. My husband and I have 2 daughters, one at the University of Michigan studying architecture, and the other enjoying her senior year in high school. Since my husband and I are both teachers, we enjoy camping and hiking in the summer with our girls. And other hobbies that I enjoy include knitting and reading. That's just a little bit about me, and for the rest of this video, we'll focus on the Honors Geometry course. Start with our major units of study. In the first semester of geometry, students will work through 3 main units that you see here. In our first unit, students learn about the foundations or building blocks of geometry. In the first chapter, students learn about points, lines, planes, the correct notation for these, formulas for distance and midpoints, some angle relationships. Chapter 2 introduces logic, reasoning, and geometric proofs, which is new to a lot of students. And the unit finishes with some work with parallel and perpendicular lines. The second unit that you see in the middle here explores triangle congruence and relationships using those building blocks from the first unit to prove new theorems. And Unit 3 builds on our understanding of triangles to learn properties of quadrilaterals or four-sided figures. We finish with constructions using a straight edge and compass and revisit skills learned in the first semester in preparation for our first semester exam. In the second semester, students move from congruence to similarity, and then they're able to use similar right triangles to enter into a study of trigonometry. In the middle here, Unit 5 examines polygons with more than 4 sides and examines properties of circles. And our year finishes with 3-dimensional figures in Unit 6 as we look at surface area and volume and just a pile of formulas. And students finish the year with lessons on probability and measurement. That's a pretty broad overview. Let's look more closely at how students move through a typical chapter. When students enter their geometry class in Schoology, they'll see something like this. Each time we begin a new chapter, students will see a calendar for the chapter when they enter their geometry class in Schoology, and it will let students know the textbook lessons and enrichment activities for each day, as well as when there are quizzes and tests. So students know well in advance when assessments are coming, and you can see on this calendar that a review day always precedes a quiz or a test. Over here on the right, students will see a list of upcoming assignments. Let's take a look at what students will see when they select an assignment. So I've selected lesson 1.5 in the textbook as one of the assignments. Now, a typical class begins with a brief group activity at the whiteboards and then an introduction to the day's lesson. In Schoology, students will find the materials they need to learn the lesson for the day. You can see here that the assignment in Schoology includes the learning targets, which I will have introduced ahead of time, a link to a lesson recording that I'll talk about more in a moment, the assignment that they need to complete, and a link to the solutions. Go back to these lesson recordings. Lesson recordings are usually 15 to 25 minutes long, and students will complete guided notes for each lesson as they watch lesson recordings. In these recordings, they can rewind the recording to hear an explanation again, or they can pause the recording to ask me a question in class, or adjust the speed of the recording to go faster or slower depending on the pace that they'd like to go. And those lesson recordings also allow students to keep up when they're absent. After students learn the lesson and have notes to refer to, they begin the practice assignment from the online textbook found in Clever. Work should be completed in a notebook used for all homework assignments. Students should check their answers using the solutions posted in Schoology and record the number correct when they submit pictures of their work on Schoology. And for any incorrect problems, students should try to understand mistakes and correct errors or plan to ask for help in class the following day if the worked out solutions don't make any sense. And the directions for all these things are right here listed in the assignment. Now that you have an idea of how the class runs, this list of suggested supplies might make more sense. So students should bring these things to class every day: a charged computer and a charging cord. Materials needed for class include the online textbook, the lesson recordings, the daily assignment details, and all of those things can be found online. They will need spiral notebook for homework assignments and a 2-pocket folder to store their packet of guided notes for each chapter and other handouts and enrichment materials. These items are available in class, but most students like to have their own. Headphones or earbuds paired with their computer so that they can listen to the lesson recordings. A pencil, eraser, red pen for correcting, and highlighters for taking notes. A scientific calculator, make sure that it includes sine, cosine, and tangent buttons. And a small ruler, just a little 6-inch ruler should do. Again, those things are available in class, but a lot of students like to have their own. Let's take some time to talk about how work is graded. Unlike other hillside courses, the grade in this geometry class is based on points earned on assessments and calculated as a percentage. It's not based on that level 1 to 8 scale that students have used in their other classes. Regular practice, those homework assignments and activities, those are going to help students to be well prepared for assessments. There's 4 different kinds of assessments that you'll see here to the right. And students who are well prepared will be able to complete these assessments within the time provided in class. Student grades in the course are based on assessments, not on practice activities where the idea is to practice and learn from mistakes. There's 4 kinds of assessments that students will encounter in this class. We have mid-chapter quizzes like checkups. Those are going to be completed with a partner that I choose based on other students who are earning a similar grade in class, but only if all of the homework has been completed on time. And these quizzes are based on textbook skills. We also have chapter tests at the end of the chapter. These are done independently. They take about 2 days to complete. They cover a lot of material, and they include both textbook and enrichment skills. The enrichments are things that we do in class together. The third type of assessment is a quarterly project. It's weighted about the same as a quiz. Sometimes students work independently. They always have the option to work independently, and sometimes they're given the option to work with a partner. It's an opportunity to apply the skills they're learning in class to more real-world scenarios. And finally, there are 2 semester exams, one in January and one in June. These count as kind of a test and a half, and they cover textbook and enrichment skills as well. I do just want to make clear that even though homework doesn't count for points, it does offer students some benefits. If they've completed all of their homework assignments on time, they're eligible to have a partner on these chapter quizzes, and they're eligible to earn some credit back on test corrections for chapter tests. Like I mentioned, this course is percentage graded and points based, not based on a leveled 1 to 8 scale. So a more traditional grading scale. Because of the difficulty of the honors courses, the high school has a grading scale that's a bit more relaxed than the grading scale used for standard courses. One final note about grades. This is a high school course. Students that pass this class will receive 1 math credit towards high school graduation, and that grade will be recorded on the student's permanent transcript, high school transcript. But because they're not really high school students yet, that grade won't be computed in the student's cumulative high school grade point average, or a GPA. And finally, all Northville Public School students taking honors geometry will take the same semester exams, regardless of whether they're here or at the high school. The last thing that I want to talk about just briefly is about planning for an extended absence. I know sometimes students have tournaments that are far away or take long breaks to visit other countries over the holidays. And if you know that your family is going to miss school for an extended time, there are some things in place that will help to minimize the effects on learning while you can still enjoy your vacation. If you have internet access, those textbook lessons still have the lesson recordings and you can still complete guided notes just like we do in class. For practice assignments, complete as much of the work as you can and check your answers. And remember that incomplete work doesn't affect your grade, but you still have to know the information for when you come back and take assessments. We can work on flexible due dates while you're on vacation. For the enrichment activities that are done in class, do as much as you can and check your work with me or a peer when you return. And for any missed assignments, it's best if you try to get everything turned in within a week of your return. But again, I'm flexible. It's just important that you get the practice that comes with the homework assignments. Well, I hope this video has given you an idea of what the course will be like. Please reach out if you have any questions, and I'm looking forward to the year.